Welcome to the practical sessions of the manufacturing processes. Now, in this practical session, in today's lecture, we will be going for the particular operation that is known as a turning operation on the lathe machine. So what we are going to do, we are knowing that we can perform many different operations on the lathe machine. So in this particular video, we will be concentrating on how to go or how to perform the turning operation on the lathe machine. So now let us see what are the different types of the things which are required. The first thing, that is the apparatus which we require for performing this particular operation. That is the first of all the main thing, that is the lathe machine. This is the machine of the lathe on which we are going to perform our practical on this machine. So this is the basic thing, the apparatus which we require for the lathe machine, that is the turning operation we require this lathe machine. And the second one, the tool which we require, that is known as a single point cutting tool. Now this is the single point cutting tool. So here you can see there is a particular edge which is there. So this edge will be responsible for the cutting actions on the lathe machine. So material, which material we require? We require the workpiece on which we want to perform that particular turning operation. That is the workpiece which we require. So now let us proceed further, that what is the major principle which is there behind this particular turning operation or the lathe machine. So first of all, we will be seeing that how this particular operation works. So the first one, that is the lathe will hold the workpiece very firmly between its jaw, which is located at the headstock. So in a headstock part there are jaws, 3 jaw or the 4 jaw chuck is there. In that chuck we will be placing our workpiece, and the workpiece is allowed to revolve at a very high speed. Cutting tool, here the cutting tool is supported at the tool post. Which tool post? Here we are going to place our tool at a carriage. We are going to place the cutting tool at the carriage in the lathe. So tool is made. Now what your workpiece is doing, your workpiece is rotating at a particular same place, and for the turning, or you can say for performing the operation, what we are going to require? We require the movement of the tool, and the tool is made to move parallel, and within that thing what will happen? Your material will be able to cut itself. So the main function of the lathe is to remove the metal from the workpiece, whatever we are having, and to get its desired shape and size. That means for getting the desired shape and size, what we require? We require this particular principle. That means your workpiece is rotated at a very high speed, and your tool is allowed to move according to us, and it will remove the material from the workpiece, and as a result what will happen? We will get a particular operation performed on the lathe. So material is removed in the form of the small chips which is removed, small or the large chips which is removed. So this is the basic thing, that your workpiece is allowed to rotate, as we can see, and the tool is allowed to move in any of the direction. According to the operation which we require, we will be moving our tool. So now, what is the theory behind this turning operation? We have seen the simple principle of the lathe, but now what we are going to see, we are going to study about what is the major theory, how turning operation is carried out. The first one, turning on the lathe uses single point cutting tool which will flatten the surface, and it is allowed to move parallel axis. So whatever the rotation is going on, in that parallel axis you will be moving. This is the workpiece rotated at a very high speed, and you will be moving your tool in this parallel direction. And what will happen? Whenever tool touches your workpiece, you will get a cutting action. So a turning tool is mounted on a tool holder, and the rest at the carriage. As I told you, where your workpiece will be located, it will be located at the headstock, and where your tool will be located, tool is located at the carriage of the material. The tool, we will be giving the feed, that is parallel feed will be given across the rotational axis, and we will be seeing by the practical what we are going to tell you in that particular video. You will be getting to know what will be the thing. So here you can see the workpiece rotating at the particular axis, and your tool is allowed to move in this direction, and that is the reason why your cutting action will take place. And what will be the it? Now what is the benefit of that thing? So the process, why we are using this process? We are using this process to reduce the diameter of the workpiece. Why? The major thing why turning operation is required, for reducing the diameter of the workpiece, we always go for the turning operation. Which cutting tool? Single point cutting tool should be taken. What is the primary motion? That is the rotary motion of the workpiece. And what is the feed which we are giving? The feed we are giving the longitudinal feed towards the tool. And this is how the actual thing looks like. The cutting tool, you can see over here, cutting tool, this portion is removed, the shiny portion has been removed, that means turning is done and the other turning is left. Now we will be going for the visualization of the practical, that how we are going to perform the particular this turning operation on the lathe machine. And turning operation. The same setup is required. Workpiece inserted in the four-jaw chuck on the headstock. The tool which we require for this particular turning operation, that is also a single point cutting tool which is placed inside the carriage. But what is the difference between that facing and the turning? Turning, it will remove the material in the horizontal direction. That means along the length of the particular workpiece we will be removing it. So what will happen? Due to the turning operation, the diameter of the workpiece will be getting reduced. And the major reason here, our tool was moving in the perpendicular direction, but when we go for the turning operation, it will go and it will move in the parallel direction of the workpiece. So in that way, what will be happening? When we move our tool in this direction and your workpiece is rotating, it will remove the workpiece in the lengthwise direction. So as a result, the diameter of the workpiece will be removed with the help of this particular operation. So now we will be seeing how our turning operation is carried out. Here we can see the rusted part of the workpiece is removed. As we are going in the parallel direction of the workpiece, you can see the diameter of the workpiece is getting reduced. And in this way, when you do the operation on the lathe, this operation is known as an turning operation. So as you can see, whenever your tool reaches towards the particular jaw, we have to stop our workpiece, because otherwise what will happen, your workpiece and that means your tool will be in touch with your jaw, then it will definitely break the material. So that is the reason when you reach towards your jaw, whatever these jaws are there, at that particular point we have to stop our machine and take back our tool. And in this way you can see over here that the operation which is performed, that is known as an turning operation.